Hello. Tonight I'd like to talk a little bit about the cost of saltwater aquariums. I'm sure you've heard all the horror stories and everything in terms of the additional cost versus freshwater. And there is a lot of truth to it. It is generally quite a bit more expensive. That said, however, after going through and covering what I actually spent on my tank, after learning some things, if I were doing it over again, I can show you a method that will save you a significant amount of money so that it would be much closer to the cost of a freshwater aquarium. For me, I set up a 36-gallon bow front. The 36-gallon bow front tank kit from Aqueon. So basically, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run through a list of everything that I needed to pick up for this tank and what it cost, and give you a final number. And please, as I said, keep in mind, don't get sticker shock on this. Don't get discouraged by it because I'm going to cover some things afterwards that'll save you some money. So the first thing I purchased was the Aqueon 36-gallon bow front tank kit from PetSmart. Now, the bad thing about tank kits when it comes to saltwater is that basically everything but the tank itself and the base hood you're pretty much going to have to replace. So, unfortunately, tank kits don't really do you a whole lot of favors unless, in my case, I was specifically wanting that 36 bow front, and so that's why I went with the tank kit. I managed to find it on sale, and so I picked it up for $129. The tank heater that I picked up that was suitable for marine environments, because the tank heater that came with the Aqueon had this flaky stuff on it that peeled off in salt water, so I got rid of it. It cost me $20 to replace the tank heater. The power head was a Coralia high door third generation, 1950 gallon per hour. That cost me 55, and I actually got a pretty good deal on that one, so it might be a little bit more for you. The Fluval 50 that I picked up for a separate power filter, to have one that could do media bags, like Chemi Pure Elite bags and that sort of thing. It was about $38 on sale from PetSmart. The live rock that I put in my tank was 40 pounds. It was $5 a pound, so it was $200. The live sand was a 40-pound bag, which was $1 a pound, so $40 for the bag. I went with premix salt slash RO water, just to avoid the hassle of having to go out and get a good RO or RODI system. And I've just basically been buying my water premix. It's just a lot easier for me personally. The 30 gallons that it took to fill up the tank after I put everything in it, with the live rock and sand, ran me about $22.50. It was 75 cents a gallon from my local fish store. I did add a protein skimmer to it. Hang on back from eShops, the PSK 75, which ran me $155. After that, I added a refractometer in order to check the salinity and the water levels. You do want to do an actual refractometer, like a nicer one from like Red Sea or something like that, because a lot of the cheaper ones, they're horribly inaccurate for their measurements. So that was $55. The water test kit once again from Red Sea was about $55, and that covered all the testing for ammonia, nitrates, nitrites, and I'm actually still using that kit to this day. So it's expensive to buy at first, but that'll last you for probably about 7 or 8 months. So I had to get a big power bar, for all the plugins and everything, because you're going to have all sorts of different stuff to plug in to the outlets. So that was about $20 or so to get that. The drain hose from Aqueon was $15. That's to do water changes. I picked up 4 of those, Home Depot Homer's buckets that are about $3 a piece, so that was $12. I then picked up some 5-gallon water jugs with caps on them. for transporting my pre-mixed salt water, and as well as a spare jug for RO water for top-ups. I bought 6 of them, and they ran me about $40. Um, the mag float, which I used to scrub the inside of the tank, that was just a small one, so it was about $15. The ChemiPure Elite bag, which is a media bag you will put in the Flugel 50 that I mentioned earlier, that was about $15. I, as far as the tank kit goes, it did not include a stand. And I actually got together with my dad, who's a woodworker, and we actually built a stand. So that one cost me less than $10 in screws, and we got a bunch of 2x4 and 2x6 construction scrap and built a stand out of it. But if I were wanting to do the actual like Aqueon matching stand for that tank, that'd been about $80 on top of that. Fishnet's going to be, $5 to $10. It's not super expensive. I would recommend picking up a fish trap, because you're going to have an aggressive fish at some point you're going to have to remove. Just plan on it. That was $41 for a small trap. Digital thermometer ran me about $8 from Amazon. The LED lights, because I had to, of course, replace the cheesy fluorescent bulb that came with the tank kit. I bought an Aqueon modular for about $60, and that just came with a white light. And then for another $15, I added a max blue bulb to it, so I spent about $75 total on the light. It's a nice light. You can see that in my other video with the tank. That said, however, it's good for fish and invertebrates and stuff like that, and some of those like really easy tentacled soft corals, they'll do just fine with that. But anything else, if you're looking for more intense corals and that sort of thing, the light's not going to be sufficient, and you're going to have to spend like $120 to get a decent LED light. But anyways, mine was about $75 for the light total with both bulbs. This all combined came out to $1,100.50. So yeah, if you're saying ouch and your jaw just hit the floor, yeah, it did. This one, I was fortunately in a position where I could afford to do this, but I wasn't expecting it to cost that much, and so thankfully I didn't crunch the numbers until after I got everything all said and done. Now that said, however, one of the things that I wish I had done in the past, and now I know for future reference, is that virtually all local fish stores, particularly the ones that specialize in saltwater stuff, they have people selling and upgrading entire tank setups, with stands, lights, power heads, skimmers, everything, on a regular basis. Or people are getting out of the hobby, people are moving out of state, those sorts of things. So my recommendation actually for the future is, and I will be doing this with my next upgrade, is to buy a used setup from your local fish store that's already set up for saltwater. You can get a tank of under 100 gallons for a complete set, with a stand and all the equipment that you need, basically, other than live sand, rock, fish, and corals, for about $500 or less if you go used, which puts it much closer to the cost of a full setup, new freshwater tank. So I've seen, and if you keep your eye out and are patient for it, you can get some absolutely insanely cheap deals. If you end up in that situation where somebody's got to move in a hurry and they're just looking to just dump the tank as quickly as possible and just get what they can get for it, you can end up making out like a bandit, where your entire setup will cost you $700-800, and with all things included. You can also scour Craigslist a little bit. That one's a little bit more of a gamble because you don't know for sure what's going into the tank, or if they've got some kind of you know ick outbreak or something like that in there. So that can be a little bit risky, but still a lot of good deals out there. I've seen some like what they call a turnkey saltwater tank, where you're getting the sand, you're getting the live rock, you're getting even a few corals, and a handful of fish in the tank ready to go for $350, $400. Now, granted, for that size, you're going to be looking at something like a 32-gallon BioCube, so don't expect to be getting like a 100-gallon tank that's fully loaded with fish for that price. No, you're going to spend quite a bit more for that. But the point is that they are out there. So my recommendation at this point is, if you're looking into saltwater and you're seeing sticker shock, definitely look into the cost of a complete used setup that's in good shape from your local fish store, and you can get into the hobby for significantly less money. You just want to make sure that, of course, you kind of sanitize the tank. And I have another video here on YouTube that kind of explains the prep and cleaning procedure for a used tank, especially if you want a really heavy duty clean on it, to make sure that it's thoroughly sanitized and you're not going to end up with any kind of issues whatsoever with your fish. So anyways, that's my recommendation on fish tanks, and giving people kind of an idea on costs and how to cut costs and save money with it, because it is an expensive hobby, but it's worth it if you really enjoy marine environments, oceans, coral reefs, and that sort of thing. To be able to have one in your living room, it's tough to put a price tag on that, and especially if you got a family and other family members who are interested in it. My kids love it. So anyways, that's all, and thanks for watching.